Right, let's get started. So, today we are looking at chapter 11, which is the payroll processing. Okay, so yesterday we got to take a look at how to set up the payroll items as well as setting up payroll taxes and including setting up our employees. Now, in this chapter, we are taking a look at actually using a payroll service that Intuit offers us, which we did mention yesterday, right? We got to see the three different payroll services that Intuit offers for to make it easier to do payroll in using QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, so when you open up the file, it should let you know that this is a sample file of what it's like to use one of their payroll services. So in this case, we're taking a sample look at the basic payroll services. So you'll notice that there are a few things that are going to be off. So I'll be mentioning what you can and can't do when it comes to the different payroll services. Now, of course, payroll for basic is usually meant for if you have, not that many employees, like maybe anywhere less than 10 employees would be perfect for you to do basic. And then as you have more employees and you want to go ahead and want to utilize the other ones, either enhanced or full service. Now, there's also other features in those different types of services that actually can help you make it a lot more easier, such as filing forms, okay? And we'll mention that in a few minutes, but I want to go ahead and dive right in and let's talk about the payroll procedures that you should do on this page right here. So this is if you are the HR or the person that just does payroll in general. This is just standard procedures that you should take, especially if you are, managing and having to do processing payroll, depending on your pay period, right? Is it every week, every bi-weekly? Is it every 2 weeks? So it's very, very crucial that you do utilize this little checklist here just to ensure, because if your job is going to be needing you to do it every week, then this is what you need to do. So again, for every payday, it is standard that you should check your payroll, activity. So especially when you're dealing with people like that are keeping track of their own pay, their own timesheets, you want to ensure that they actually completed the job that way. So they can either report to you or they can just submit their timesheets. And, if you see something that's kind of off with it, you just dispute it with them and say, well, why are you clocking in these extra overwork time hours, et cetera, et cetera. Or even if you have to make adjustments to the previous pay period, right? For anything for like that. Okay. And then, of course, you want to also verify your tax tables are always current. Now, usually, if you're in the beginning of the year, it should stay current all the way up to at least October, because the new taxes, they don't release until maybe mid-November, because that's when they're in the discussion, and then it releases in December. So you want to make sure that you have the correct tax tables, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. Other than that, you just want to make sure that you want to create and review and correct any errors in your payroll. Maybe this person had some sick pay or vacation pay. You want to make sure that you mark those all accordingly, and of course, you want to print out the paychecks and pay stubs. Right, that's every pay period. Now, the great thing about having QuickBooks and having pay stubs is that once you do create a paycheck, you're always able to print out the pay stubs at any given time. And we'll talk about that when we actually process the payroll. Okay. Other things that you have to do is, of course, you want to make sure that you make your tax deposits. That's always rule of thumb, especially because, again, it's a lot easier if you schedule them all to be on the same current pay schedule. So, for example, right, when we set up all of our payroll taxes, we set them all to be quarterly. All right. So that means at the end of every quarter, you should be paying all these people at one time simultaneously. And in some cases, there are rules that can apply that are a lot different. So again, if you are looking at corporate status, you may have to pay payroll every week. The payroll taxes every week is because you're the ones that's holding $1 billion in your company. And if you have 1 billion employees, that's like the most easy cash grab that you can get, right?
Yeah.
Quickest way to get the most money from a corporation, right? So they actually, for corporations, they have to actually turn in their payroll taxes every week. And it's usually, if they are a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday payroll, like if they pay on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the following week on Wednesday, they have to submit their pay taxes. So there's few rules and guidelines. And again, you definitely want to seek a professional tax accountant to make sure that when you do file your taxes for the having employees, that they are, correctly, making your correct deposits. And yes. So again, when you are a smaller business, like such as a sole proprietor partnership or like a small LLC, you do get a little more leniency because you don't have that many employees, or you shouldn't have that many employees, right? A small business maybe 25 employees or less. So and they actually have a lot of rules and guidelines on what they can offer to your employees as well. So with those kind of guidelines, right, they are able to make payments either quarterly, so that's every 3 months, right? Or every 3 months they pay their payroll taxes, because they don't accumulate that many taxes because they don't have that many employees. So they can rack up all the way till then. But of course, you don't have to do that. Again, it's just a safety measure, especially if you are a small business. You're more likely to have bigger and, more expenses that are, priority over paying your taxes. Such as paying rent. All right, and then of course every year or every quarterly, whatever it is. So as you can go ahead and take a look at that, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only if you are the person that's processing payroll. Okay, so with that being said, now we can go ahead and take a look at using the payroll center or the employee center, which also has the payroll center. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So notice this, it's a little different now. We don't have time active, but that's okay. But we do have this little section here. If you remember from yesterday, it says turn on payroll. Now that it's already activated, right? This is a sample file of us having the payroll service. We're using the basic one. It just tells me that I have a payroll center now. Now, if I click on the payroll center, it's just going to simply open up my employee center. But notice this, my employee center, now, if you remember vaguely, my employee center, right? This is it. Let me go ahead and expand this out for you. So this is my employee center, right? Now, because I have my payroll activated and it's on, I have now a third tab here for the payroll center. And this is where the payroll scheduler is. It is right here, this lovely window right here, this lovely little sheet right here. This is your payroll scheduler. So as you can see, the more employees you have, so if I click on pay my employees, right, it will give me a list of all my employees and how I pay them, right? In this case, they're both on the same pay schedule, right? They're both semi-monthly, so that means they get paid on the 5th, the 16th, and the 30th or 31st. So in this case, I only have one person, two people I'm paying on the same payroll. But if I had multiple people, if I had someone that's under a bi-weekly, it will appear right here. All right? You don't need to do anything when it comes to the payroll scheduler. It should be automatic for you. So if you assign that this person is being paid bi-weekly, then there you go. It will appear on your pay schedule as is. And the great thing about this is it shows you your records of all the payrolls that you've actually processed, and it also gives you a little calendar so you know where, you know, when the date is going to be, et cetera, or when the payroll is supposed to happen. So in this case, it shows us here that we are looking at a sample file, which is only looking at December of 2019.
Right.
So as you can see here, the little window says that today is actually the 16th. So in this case, today's actually the 15th. But so here we are looking at a little calendar. It does show us that it's like, just gives us an overview of a calendar, and it gives us a little reminder that, hey, don't forget to process your payroll. It's due tomorrow. Or you're scheduled to pay them tomorrow, right? It's already the 15th. You got to pay them tomorrow. So here's pretty much it. And if we go to the payroll center, you get 3 tabs. You get to pay your employees. You get to pay your tax liability, so anything that you owe the government or the state. And of course, you have file forms. Now notice this, when I click on file forms, it tells me that I must have I must download the higher version of the payroll services, or the in this case you need to have enhanced or full service in order to file the forms for you. And I'll talk about this section in a minute. But see, notice just by me clicking on file forms, it gives me a notice saying I can't do it because I'm using the basic services, the basic payroll services. So because of that, and it says I have to download the newer or upgrade to the either enhanced or full service in order to use the file forms. And I'll talk about this in a few minutes, not a few minutes, but in a few sections later on. And so in order to be able to do that, you need to have the other upgraded version of the payroll services. So the basic can only do the basic, which is to pay your employees and to pay your liabilities. That is the bottom line there. Okay. Now, with that being mentioned, so again, the payroll services or the payroll center only appears if you subscribed to a payroll service. And it's in the employee center, and it's going to be an additional tab in your employee center. It's going to be this last tab here that says payroll center, and it has 3 extra tabs: pay employees, pay liabilities, and file forms. Okay. You also get this in the home page too, right? If you have the payroll services on, you can actually go ahead and just click on the little icon here to say, I want to pay my employees. And here it brings up the payroll center once again. Okay? Now, when we talk into actually doing manual payroll, it's going to look slightly different. Okay? Similar but slightly different. And of course, if you have your payroll services on, you're able to do everything as well at the top of the employee center. You're able to pay your employees, pay your liabilities, and file your forms as well. Okay? So everything that you can do on the homepage, you can do it on here. But the only difference is when you go to the employee center, you can't click on the person and say, I want to make a payment to them. You'd actually have to go to the payroll center, hit that pay employees button, and then go on with your day. So in this case, there's only a couple ways you can do it. You can either do it on the home page, the menu bar, or actually going into the payroll center to the payroll center and pay your employees that way. Okay, so that's just looking at the payroll center. So it makes it a lot more easier to keep track of your stuff. And you can always come here, if you are the HR, of course, you can always come here to see what is due. Okay, so that's what QuickBooks does. It makes it a lot more easier to go ahead and pay your employees, pay your taxes, etc., etc. So any questions so far?
No.
All right, good. So now that I introduced the payroll center, now the next thing is going to be looking at your pay taxes, pay tax tables, okay? So again, This information, so they say that every time you do your your every payday or every your paycheck date, right? You always want to make sure that your tax tables are up to the most recent, or make sure that your tax tables are current. So in this case, you need to go to irs.gov/publication 15T. All right. And that's going to give you all of your tax tables. So I already have it here because in the accounting class, we do need to learn how to use or how to process manual payroll. So in this case, you would actually be looking at this table here to automate your tax table. So sorry, I already looked at it going forward. So let me go ahead and let's see if I can just jump to page 1. There you go. So here is the federal income tax withholdings table. So then you have two methods. We have the bracket method and we have the percentage method. So either one that you use for manual, of course, you can use however preference it works for you. And in this case, because this is the 2021 version, it actually is split into two because you can have employees that are still using their old W-4 form. Okay, they're not required to submit a new one unless they have changes. Okay, or this year, let's say I want to claim that I have children, or maybe this year I want to file as jointly married. Anything that you want to do, like that's differently this year, and you want to claim that, you can do it as well. Okay, but in this case, when you are actually looking at these tables, because we're using a automated payroll services, like we've already we've already paid someone to do the calculations for us. All you need to really look at is this table here. It is going to be the percentage method table for automated payroll systems. So meaning when we have a program that does the calculation for us, this is the table you need to look at. And it's going to look like this. Okay?
Okay.
And it's based on, again, marital status. And then in this case, it gives you two options. One is if you haven't filed for the new 2020 form, or 2021, right? Because 2020 is when they created the new form, right? So if you filed the W-4 form from 2019 and earlier, then that you're going to stay on one of these tables here. Or if you did submit a 2020 W-4 form, did you check mark number 2 in the box? Like, are you counting another source of income when it comes into calculating your actual total household income? And if you did check it, then that's where it's split between here. So one side is if you use a W-4 form that's from 2019, or if you did not check the box, then you're going to stay on the left side. If you did check the box, you're going to be on the right side. And of course, it's split on, again, by marital status. So as you can see, we got married filing jointly. We got single or married filing separately. We even have head of household. Okay, so if you remember on the 2020 form or the 2021 form, that's where your filing status, you have 3 options that you can choose from. You can either choose to file married and jointly, single or married filing separately, or you could be claimed as head of household. So you're going to be looking at these tax tables right here, okay? Because we're using an automated service. So making sure that these numbers are always going to be up to date. And this is, I actually got this from the irs.gov. If you type in publication 15T, it is a downloadable PDF. So you can go ahead and save this file if you are planning to use it for automated or manual payroll. So by that, this is what they mean to update and make sure that your percentages or your tax tables are to the most current. So in this case, of course, I'm doing this for 2021. But for if you for the previous year, so if you have the 2019 tax table, which I do, it's all going to be, or add the 2020 as well, tax tables, right? You have every year is going to be different, but in this case, yeah, every year is going to be different. So make sure that you're on top of it and you're using the correct one in the correct year. But in this case, I'm actually going to just use the 2021 for this scenario. But again, we're using an automated services, so it's already been done and calculated for us. We don't need to double check or anything. And you'll know what I'm talking about when we actually process the payroll. So that's just what that little section is talking about, is to make sure that you have the correct tax tables. Okay? Any questions there?
No.
Okay. So now we're going to start paying our employees. So again, there are 3 ways that you can do it: on the home page, on the menu bar, on the employees menu bar, and then also when you go into the payroll center, just go ahead and click that tab that says pay employees. Now, I'm going to show you how quick, easy, and simple it is to just pay your employees using the payroll system. So as you can see, I'm already in my payroll center. I clicked on my pay employees tab. So all I have to do is, I see here that I have one payroll that is due tomorrow. Okay, because I'm on the 15th today. So that means I can process it anytime between then. And if you'd like, usually for semi-monthly, you do want to make the check available the next day, because that's just how it is. But if you're doing bi-weekly, it's usually, you can choose Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday to pay your employees. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and click this. So once you selected your payroll, right? You say that there's only one payroll that we have left for this month, right? We're paying for the activity done from the 1st of December all the way to the 15th of December, right? I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Scheduling the Payroll. All right? Once you do that, a window is going to pop up, and this is what you're going to do. So here we're going to ensure that when we're looking at this payroll, that it is going to be, when did the payroll period end? In this case, it ended on the 15th, right? Because that's what we ended our payroll period, right? If it's a bi-weekly, you're going to have to make sure that the calendar is correct. But in this case, it ended on the 15th, because we pay every 15th and we pay on the 16th and the 30th. So it's after the 15th. In this case, you definitely want to make sure that this is very important, because again, when you typically process your payroll, right? The one thing that you have to know too is that the check date doesn't have to be the same as when the day you process your payroll. Again, when I talked about bi-weekly, right? You turn in your timesheet by Sunday. Usually you have the choice. You could either have it available Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. For me, it's every Friday, or it's every other Friday. Typically, most businesses are every other Friday if they use a bi-weekly pay period. So in this case, I actually want to make it available on the 16th. So it's already been selected for me. You definitely want to make sure that it comes out of your checking account. Okay. Now, there are some rules and some guidelines on what is the best way to process your payroll, especially when you're dealing with manual paychecks, because you can't just simply write a check and call it a day. Paychecks are slightly different than actual real paychecks. So when we move into the manual payroll, I'll show you what I mean. I'll talk about this a little more. I'll elaborate more. All right, so we want to make sure it's coming out of our checking account. And here it tells us that we have $82,000. So for sure, we have enough to pay for our employees. All right. Here it says that we selected 2 people, and that's right. We are going to pay Katie Reynolds, and we're going to pay Mike Mizuki. So that was right, Mizuki. All right. So here, a few things that you want to do, that you want to make sure you check off the options. It says right here, print any paychecks on check stop. Obviously, you can't just print on a regular piece of paper. It has to be that special paper that you get from the bank, all right? Or you can get it through Intuit, depending on how you want to be fancy, depending on the convenience too. But the banks should definitely have it. All right, or if you want to, you can hand write them. Like if you have the actual checkbook, you can actually physically write them out. Okay. You know what I mean. But yeah. But in most cases, everything's all printed already. So they use the check stock. Okay, so once we've done that and we ensure that the everything's gonna look good, this is where we could go ahead and click on Katie Reynolds, and we can adjust her timesheet or whatever you want to call this. Okay, so here I'm gonna pull it up to the middle of the screen. So notice this. She's a salary based. We all know that, right? We scheduled her, or we claim that she's a salary based. She gets $60,000 a year, and so what QuickBooks did is it just divided the $60,000 by the number of paychecks. So because she's semi-monthly, right? She gets 24 paychecks, so $60,000 divided by 24 gives you $2,500. Okay. Mm-hmm. And no matter where she's at, because she's salary based, it will always stand as $2,500. Okay, no matter what we add on there, it's always going to be $2,500 unless she received a bonus from us. And it's December, so we might give her a Christmas bonus, whatever it is that your company offers, right? But in this case, I'm not going to give her anything. It's just that she's just going to get her regular paycheck. All right. Few things that you want to also take a look at is let's go ahead and adjust her paycheck. Okay, let's go ahead and say she completed. She's salary regular, right? But she also claimed some vacation hours. So in this case, you're going to type in vacation, and I don't see vacation, salary vacation. There it is. Okay. And now you notice this, when you type in that payroll item in there, it's saying it's split half and half, right? It's saying that she's gonna do half of the money came from her vacation and half the money came from her salary itself. That is what usually happens when you have more than one payroll item. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna adjust it by adding hours. Now, because Katie is salary based, right? It doesn't matter how many hours she contributes because she's still going to get paid the same amount. Whether she invests 80 hours of her day, 100 hours of her day, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, she's still getting the same amount no matter what. That's how salary works. You get paid no matter what. But in this case, because we want to make it so that it looks evenly distributed, let's just say she actually claimed a total of 88 hours. All right? She did 85 actual work regular hours, and she actually claimed 3 vacation hours. By me doing this, look at this. Now it recalculates it for me, saying that, okay, if it's going to be based on an hourly rate, we're going to take the 88 hours and we're going to divide it we're going to divide the 2,500 by the 88 hours, and we're going to distribute it that way. So in this case, Katie actually only earned $2,414 during her actual work day, and she got paid $85 for being on vacation. Okay? So no matter what, at the end of the day, she's still at $2,500 because that's just how salary works. Okay? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing else that you need to know at the very top. So here, there's a bunch of line items that you could, if you have things set up like such as this is December, right? The next paycheck, if she works over the holidays, maybe we have to pay them more because it's a holiday pay, right?
Right.
Things like that. Anything that has to do with that. Maybe it's 1 times 5 or twice as much because they're spending their Christmas working on their holiday when they're supposed to be taking a break. All right. You can even have paid holidays if that's the case, right? You could pay them for their holiday. Whatever it is, you can list up as many items as you want for that payroll period. All right. Whatever hours they claimed.
Okay.
Then we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the bottom portion here on the left side. Here it tells me that she's gonna take 4% of her paycheck and dump it into her 401k. And as our company, right, we're gonna match her only 50%, so 2%. Okay, and then she also has to contribute $100 from her paycheck for medical insurance. All right. And then now that we've established this part right here, let's go ahead and take a look on this side. So now this is where the whole entire taxes are being broken down and it's being calculated to see how much her paycheck is going to result in. So as we can see, she's a salary-based regular person. So she earns $2,500. We also say salary vacation. Well, in this case, it's split into two, right? Because we split it into two. So in this grand total is $2,500. Okay. We've also took out the deduction. The 4% of her paycheck is going to go to her 401k. So that's $100. And her medical insurance is another $100. And because, yes. So those are deductions from her paycheck. So she's taking $200 out of her paycheck. All right. Here, Medicare employee advance, there isn't any. So I don't know why they have this part, but that's not one of the taxes that is enlisted that she's subject to be taxed at. Her federal withholdings, it's already been calculated, right? Because I paid a payroll service to do it for me. So in this case, she's subject to $173 worth of tax on her federal income. Okay, so if you like to do it yourself, you could go ahead and take a look at the tax tables and stuff just to ensure that this is true. But again, they just do it for you. You don't need to do it. Okay. Here, Social Security, they take out another $155, and then of course Medicare, all right, or in this case, remember FICA, the Federal Insurance Contribution Act includes Medicare and Social Security. So here it is. They took out another $36 for the Medicare. And then, of course, she's subject to state taxes. So in this case, California tax was $96, and the disability for California is another additional $25. So she's paying all this taxes, and that means her check that she's going to be written out is going to be only $1,814. So she's paying almost $500 in taxes. She took $200 out for her benefits, and then she got taxed $500. That's a lot. Okay, so she's only receiving a check for $1,814. All right. Then the bottom section right here is what we pay for having her having her as an employee, right? So these are the taxes that the employer are subject to be faced with. We have to match Katie's 401k, right? We agreed it's only 50%. So 50% of 4% is 2%. So we're only paying $50 into her 401k plan. We are subject to California unemployment tax. We are also we also have to contribute to her federal insurance contribution act 100%. So whatever she put in, we also have to match them 100%. So Social Security and Medicare. And then lastly, we also have federal unemployment. In this case, it's 0. Okay, so everything here is calculated for you. All right, all you had to do was just validate that whatever hours that she's contributed, and just to ensure like that each one, like you don't need to calculate it yourself, but you just want to make sure that these are, you are using the correct and current tax tables, because your numbers can be off and you would have to go back and adjust everything accordingly. So that's how payroll works, in this sense, where all we have to do is just click, I'm going to pay my employee, I'm going to put in the number of hours, everything else is calculated for you, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. Save it next, okay? So next I'm going to look at Mike Mazowski. Same thing here. We saying that he earns $24 an hour, and he contributed a total of 80 hours. Okay, so this was taken out directly from his timesheet. All right, and there it is, 80 hours. And of course, because he is a full-time employee, he is subject to also contribute to his 401k plan and medical insurance. So here, because he is he's a waged person and doesn't make that much, he only made $1,900. And again, it's calculated here. So that means his paycheck is going to be for $11.37. Now, this also is into the contributing factor that Mike, he probably filed as single status. If he filed as single status, he's going to be having the highest tax because he has nothing to claim, right? Where Katie, she claimed that she's married. We do not know if she's, filing jointly or not. But with that conclusion, right, the calculations for Katie is including her withholdings. So she has 2 withholdings. If you remember, when we set up her account, she had 2 withholdings. So that's automatically calculated in the federal income tax withholdings. So in this case, because I'm going to show you briefly on how to do it, when we do the manual payroll. In this case, Katie has 2 withholdings and she filed as a married status. Mike, on the other hand, he's single, probably 0 kids. All right. And he's going to get taxed at a higher rate. So that's why he got taxed almost $700. Almost $700. Right? And again, here's the, our portion of how much we're contributing because we have him as an employee. And then I can go ahead and click save and close. Okay, so here it told me that I've edited my information and that I've validated that both of these are correct. All right, and then I can go ahead and click continue. Now this window basically just makes you to have a confirmation. Are you going to be paying Katie? Are you going to be paying Mike? Does everything look good? Then you can go ahead and click continue one more time to create the paychecks. So once you do that, you're going to get this window right here. Okay? It's basically going to be, well, do you want to print your paychecks now or you want to print them later? Now, we can always print these paychecks by going to the file and print forms and print your paychecks. There is a button for that in case you choose to do something else. All right, but in this case, I'm already here. I'm already at this window. So I'm going to go ahead and click on print those paychecks. All right, so again, you want to ensure that it's coming out of your checking account and you want to assign the numbers. In this case, we are using 6069 to print out our paychecks, or that's the number that we're starting out with. So here, I'm going to check mark that we have Katie and we have Mike. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Once I do that, now this is where it's very important because this is where you have to attach a signature. Or if you're going to have the boss write the signature itself on there, that is, like actually physically write them on there, it's up to you, right? And then here's where the choices come into play. Voucher style is the most recommended because if you do voucher style allows you to print the pay stub information at the top, and at the very bottom is a perforated line for the actual check. So it gives you the details, and that's the most common one that most payroll services uses. They have the top part is your pay stub, and then the bottom part is a terrible check. All right. If you want to go to a better route, you could do the standard one. All right. The standard one is basically 3 paychecks in one piece of regular piece of paper, or regular size piece of paper, excuse me. And what you could do is you can print your pay stub on a regular piece of paper and then have the check line in between. However you want to do it, right? It just really depends because I know for sure voucher style is the most common one that most payroll services uses. But in this case, if your company is looking into not printing the checks out themselves, the standard style would be actually more recommended. Okay. But in this case, I want voucher style because I don't want to have to print 2 other pages and stuff like that. I'd rather have it their paychecks be on the top part, and then have the perforated line for them to go ahead and submit their check. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other things that you want to do too is because we do voucher style, you can print your company logo on there. Okay. You can use a company logo as well, right? As we were mentioned before. We can go ahead and click File. And this is also going to be in your student portable file, so you're able to exercise this exact particular thing right here. So let me go ahead and find my LVPTA, accounting, QuickBooks class, QuickBooks portable files, and there you go. I have my logo right here. I'm going to click OK. There's my logo, and I'm going to click OK. So because I'm using voucher style, I'm able to print my logos because I am printing the pay stub on top of there. And you can also include a printed signature as well. This is most commonly used just because of the availability of your boss. Do you see your boss every day? If you do, then you can exactly. Most likely you don't see your boss every day. They come and go. So sometimes it'd be hard to go ahead and locate them. So you definitely want to go ahead and locate them somewhere else, right? So here I'm going to go to my portable file, and here's my signature, Mr. Vern Black. I'm going to click OK. There it is. And I'm going to click OK. So that means when you print out your checks, that's what's going to happen. All right. And of course, I'll just click print, and then it's going to make me save my file, which is completely fine. I just have to locate which place I'm going to put it in. So in this case, it's going to be my documents, LVPTA. So then again, when you're saving these files, it's because I've set my printer as the Microsoft PDF thingy. So in this case, I'm going to save it in this one. All right, save. Oh. So it says PR. I'm gonna name it as PR. Ooh, my typing's so bad today. PR 1215 or 1216 19, and save. Okay. So there you go. Now my paychecks are saved, and I can go ahead and clear this out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we got everything there. we got our paychecks all printed out and whatnot. And if I go to my checking account, it should say that I actually made a payment.
Okay.
No. I don't want to. Okay, and it says right here that you made the payroll period right here on the 12/16. All right, and I'm just trying to get to my checking account just to verify that my check went through. Here's my checking account. Click OK, and here you go. Okay, it says I made a deposit. Okay, that is weird. Let me go ahead and refresh my table. All right. I guess my paychecks didn't go through, but it should have gone through because it showed in my payroll center that it did go through. Okay. Now, of course, with that being said, now that you've already printed out your paychecks, you went through the whole process of paying your employees. The next step is printing out your pay stubs. Now, of course, your pay stubs are pretty straightforward. They're pretty obvious. Okay. Right? You could print them at any given time, either for your collections or for in case your employee asks for a copy for any reason, they may do so. All right. And of course it's just as easy as just printing out anything in general. You just go to file, print forms, and you can print out your pay stubs at any given time. So as you saw, paychecks. So here you could go ahead and take a look. So I have these two people, and this is the cool part here is I can actually preview them. So this is Katie's, right? And then this one's Mike's. So again, you can print pay stubs at any given time. It's not. It doesn't matter when you have to do it. If a person's trying to collect it for the profile, or maybe they need to send a copy to somebody, you have the copy here, and you can print them at any given time. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close out of this window. All right. Now that we established printing out pay stubs, here's one thing that can happen, and it's very common, especially when you are dealing with payroll, is what happens when you need to edit your paychecks because when you process your payroll, you didn't notice that Mike Mazowski, when he turned in his timesheet in, he actually forgot that on Monday he called in a half day. He only worked for 4 hours on Monday because he felt sick and he decided to not work the rest of the afternoon. So let's go ahead and take a look at Mike Mazowski. Okay, so when we wrote his check, right, and that's why I was trying to find the check in the checking register. Maybe because I didn't choose the right one. Yeah, I'm in savings. There you go. I was in the wrong one. I'm in savings. I need to be in checking. All right, click OK. And here you go. Here's the paychecks right here. Paycheck for Katie and paycheck for Mike. There it is. Okay. So of course, if I sent these paychecks out, right, because I made it available on the 16th, and Mike comes up to me and says, "You didn't adjust my hours correctly. I didn't work on Monday. I only worked half a day on Monday." So he's being legit and loyal and honest with us, and he says that we need to adjust his timing because he didn't work for the full 80 hours. So in this case, if we've already sent out the paycheck, rule of thumb is you definitely want to go ahead and cancel or void the paycheck, which is pretty straightforward. As we found Mike Mazowski, we can right click on him and we can void the check. right? Or we could go to the edit menu and void the check. Now, let's say we printed it out, but we haven't given it to him yet. So what we're going to do here is if you haven't given the paycheck out to your employees yet, what you can do is you can edit and modify the payroll at any given time and just print out a brand new check. So I'm going to go to my payroll center once again, or I can actually click my pay employees window because that was take me to my payroll center, and I could go ahead and click on this, and down at the bottom you could choose to either edit slash void the paychecks, and in this case I'm just going to go ahead and double click on it, and what's going to do, it's going to it should populate. Okay, maybe I do need to hit that edit. All right, so there you go. So there you go. Now it tells me that I have these checks available and I need to edit them. So in this case, I'm going to make sure that I go to Mike Mazowski and I'm going to edit his stuff. So as you can see, this is his paycheck, right? He only earned a few things. So in this case, this is where I can void the check here. All right, but I'm not interested in voiding the check. I want to edit his information. So what you can do here is I want to edit the information. Let's see. You can add employee, edit, print paychecks, or you can set up liabilities. It's supposed to be here. You're supposed to be able to edit this. Okay.
It says from the payroll center, you go to the pay employees tab,
Mm-hmm.
and edit void paycheck.
Edit this
other
one, right?
activities. Yeah. That's what it says.
In other activities, you edit and void the check. Yeah, that's what I just did, but it's not letting me edit the information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're supposed to be able to. Okay. Usually you're supposed to be able to, but I don't know why it's not doing it this time. So you're supposed to be able to edit his information and be able to adjust his accordingly. Now, it's also possible maybe I have to do it this way. So let me go ahead and do it this way. So let's say I did send out the paychecks, right? So in this case, let's go ahead and void it, and then let's redo another one. Okay, so if I were to, so again, I'm going to go back to that window. I'm sorry, I don't know why I exited out of that. Back to this window, and I'm gonna void his paycheck. Let's just say that's usually what the rule of thumb is. If you don't want him to cash that paycheck and double whammy us and take the money twice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go up to the edit, and I'm gonna void this check. Okay. Void paycheck. Okay? Because in this case, I have to modify everything in regards to his FFITW, his Social Security, and whatnot, because he worked less, right? Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and, paycheck detail. There it is. There it is. You go to paycheck detail. Oh, my gosh. Okay, sorry about that. So here's the paycheck detail. Because let's say Mr. Mike Mazowski, right? He didn't work 90 hours, right? So let me revert this. Okay, so here is his paycheck. So I go paycheck detail, and now I can go ahead and edit it. There it is. So here, he worked for 80 hours. No, he only worked 76 hours, right? That's -4, right? He only worked half a day on Monday. Mm-hmm. So I type that in and it says, okay, now blah, 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 right? We're going to say, okay, don't display this message again. I'm going to click okay. Now it's recalculating everything for us. All right? Now this is in case you have not created the paycheck in the first place, or you have not sent him the payroll check in the first place. So once you do that, right, so you can come in here and look at the payroll check details, and then you can go ahead and modify it here, right? Rule of thumb is you always want to void. The best way to do it is void the check and write him a new one. You never want to give him a check or in this case, because we wrote too little or we wrote too much for the paycheck, we have to adjust it accordingly. So in this case, he only worked 67 hours, okay, or 76 hours, right? He called half a day off on Monday, and then now it's down to 18 instead of the 19. Everything is readjusted and recalculated, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. So then, okay, we get this error saying out of balance. Yes, we know that. Okay. And then now that everything is there, we can go ahead and click. Okay. Yes, we know everything's out of balance. I know this because I'm editing it for a reason. So it should be able to say go. Okay, I'm gonna say okay. Your changes do not add up to the original earnings. Yes, we're making an adjustment. Okay, total of the paychecks. Okay. All right. So, okay. So what we're gonna have to do is we actually have to void it first. So I have to redo that again. So let's go ahead and redo because it's not letting me do it. So I have to void the check first. Okay. There it is. It's voided, and then I go to payroll details. So now I actually have to write him a new check in terms of the new amount. So what you can do too is if you're already here, cancel. I don't want to exit. I just want to close this one. Yeah, no. So then now that we voided the check, right? You're gonna have to redo the whole process again, but this time again, instead of using this one, we're gonna go ahead and edit. We're gonna go ahead and just go ahead and click this, and we're gonna change it because we're not doing that payroll. We're doing another payroll. All right. In this case, you want to make sure that you write your check as the 6th. Oh, not that one. As December 15. Oh wait, is this 2020? Yes, 2020. So I have to go back. So December 16. All right, we're gonna uncheck mark Miss Katie here. Uncheck Katie, and then we're gonna go ahead and click Mike, and then redo his process all over again. So in this case, we are writing him. What was it? 76 hours. Okay. There it is. All the calculations are done. Save and close. And then we're going to go ahead and process a new paycheck for him. And yes, new paycheck. All right. And then print paycheck. And this time it's going to be for the 6071 because we canceled his first paycheck. Now this paycheck is going to be for the less amount. Okay. And click OK.
And that's only after you've already printed one or you're editing one.
Well, this is since you already printed it, right? But you didn't send it to him, or if you gave it to him, you voided it already.
Okay.
So if you
if
yeah,
it's printed out, there's no reason for it to give it that number.
you would have to give him a different number.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't use if you've already written it out, you can't use the same number. You have to leave it in your check register as voided. So in this case, I'm not going to print another one. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. All right. But then again, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the check register real quick so you can see what has happened here. And of course, you processed it twice. So let me go ahead and go bring it down here. Okay. And it still says that, okay. My computer. Okay. Excuse me. So here, excuse me.
It's all
So
the stuff
now,
in the air. Maybe, I know.
yeah, don't worry about it. No, yeah. So we go to our checking account once again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went savings again. We're going to go to checking. And we're going to checking. Click OK. And here you have 2 paychecks, right? One is voided, right? If you double click on this one, it's going to say it's voided. As you can see, it still went through. That's weird. This check should have been voided. There. Now it's
There you go.
voided. There you go. Maybe maybe when I clicked the exit, it said to record to save changes, and I clicked no. Okay, you have changed this information. Yes, record it. There you go. There you go. So now that check is voided, and we wrote a second check right here, and that's how you do it. Okay. Any questions on how to pay your employees?
I don't think so.
Okay.
From what you show me, if you follow it the way it should be, it should do exactly what it's supposed to.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Pretty straightforward. Of course, you're gonna when you send your employee the new updated paycheck, you always want to make sure if you pay them too less and they say, "Hey, I clocked in for extra hours. Why do I not get paid for these extra hours?" Never, ever, ever send them a new check with the different amount, okay? Because when you calculate the tax on that, it's going to show significantly different. You need to redo the whole thing and send them a brand new check. That's just the rule of thumb there, because you want to make sure that they correctly earn however much they earned and get properly taxed. So in this case, now we are looking at payroll liabilities. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So paying liabilities, it's exactly the same as paying your employees. It is so simple, so easy, and what you can do here is I'm going to go ahead and close out my checking account. You can either go to your pay liabilities tab, right? And it will take you to the same spot. It will take you to the same payroll center, but this time you're in the pay liabilities tab. And let's take a look. We actually have 2 that are due. Okay?
Okay.
So in this case, when you click on them, right, to check mark that you're going to pay them, you're just going to go ahead and click view/pay. And what happens is it pops up a check. Of course, this is the EFTPS, so obviously it's an electronically, transferred amount, and it already has all the calculations already available to you. So this is taking all the information that it's been collecting over, the quarter, right? Since it's December, it's time to pay now. As you can see, it already calculated all for you. All right? And then all you have to do is just validate the date, validate that it's checking, okay, that this amount's coming from your checking, and that's it. That is it.
That's it for that one, really.
Yeah, and then you just click save and close, and you paid them. It's that easy.
Now, how does it know on the other end whose accounts those were to be applied to in the government?
Okay, so so if you remember from yesterday, we already set up those accounts.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, yeah. If you go to your payroll items, so let's actually go to the EDD, right? If you go to, let me see, let's go ahead and go to your payroll items, okay? Payroll items. So let me see, which one was the liability? I believe it was federal. We just paid them.
Federal withholding, right?
we just paid them. So let me see. Let's see what. Okay, I think I want to say. Let's say California. Okay, since I owe them. I'm assuming I'm owing them that much money, right? If I go ahead and edit this information, what happens is that it's going to have a preferred vendor, or it's going to tell me to set it up this way. I have a preferred vendor on how I'm going to make payments to them. Do you remember that? Where we paid to the EDD?
Right.
And then every time, and then of course the EDD is what you've already preset in there. You have to set the vendor up first. So for example, if I'm in the state of Nevada and I need to pay DETR, the Department of Unemployment Training and Resources, right? I need to make payments to them. I need to put them in as a vendor into the QuickBooks first. So then when I set up my payroll items, I link them and all their information is going to be there. It's going to give them the account number. It's going to give them the address in case I need to send a check to them. And when I make these payments, it will automatically associate. It will pull that information just like when we write a check, right, to our vendor. It's going to send it right to the vendor. In this case, for an electronic funds transfer, or what is it? The federal tax payroll transfer services, whatever it's called, right?
Right.
That one's going to have a specific account. And it obviously, when you're doing with QuickBooks, it's going to send it to that account number. It's going to electrically wire it from your bank account to their account.
And it's going to have all the corresponding information, like which Social Security number it goes
Absolutely, yes. And that's
really known as anyway.
Yes, and then that's the thing here is that in QuickBooks, since they taught you how to create a vendor, they skip that part along there, and they're just telling you that this is the agency that you're making a payment to.
Okay.
Okay, so in this case, the EDD is one, and the EFTPS is one, right? Mm-hmm. The electronics federal tax payroll services, or whatever payment services, right? That's going to be another vendor. All right, and then notice this. If I go back to my checking account once more, it tells me that I made a liability payment. I made it to the EFTPS. And I can double click on this and it shows me that I made a payment for all of these taxes that I paid. Okay. Right? Okay. So in this case, the EFTPS is already a preset vendor, and you have all the information such as their account number, their address, whatever it is, contact information, or even when you set up the electronic funds transfer, it's going to immediately notify your bank, and it's going to go ahead and pay for it. Now, of course, in this kind of case, you actually have to do it is something that you have to do this online. But in this case, this is us doing it as a manual thing instead of using the payroll services, because the payroll services is going to take care of this for you.
Okay.
Okay. If you do not have the payroll services, you're going to have to manually, go to the bank or go online and make a payment to this actual vendor. All right, where the payroll services saves you some time too by automatically taking this money right directly out of your checking account. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that is how you pay your liabilities. That simple, that easy, that quick. Any questions?
No.
All right. And last but not least is we're going to be talking about the filing forms. So we mentioned this before, right? If you click on process payroll forms, right? Or in this case, in the payroll center, you have the file form section, right? So if you pay for the higher payroll services, it allows QuickBooks to file the forms for you. So every quarterly, right, you have to file the 940 and the 941, which is your federal income tax, either the withholdings or the Social Security or the FICA, right? That is a record of how you make your payments, your tax payments. All right. Other ones, such as your California ones, I don't know what those forms are called. It just depends on what state that you live in. They are going to be filing a different separate form. So with that, if you pay for the higher service, you can have QuickBooks piece together the form for you and submit it to the IRS for you. Because again, QuickBooks is primarily geared towards to help businesses file their taxes easier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with the bigger and higher payroll services, not only can you file your tax forms, you can also file your W-2 forms as well and be able to process them and give it to your employees. So
Now
that
I see why they did that now.
yes, because yeah, and that's why this section is it's depending on how you want to do it and or how you want to pay the services for, it's going to give you the option. So again, this is basic. Basic only does two things. It helps you pay your employees or process the payroll section, and it helps you pay your liabilities. But with enhanced, it allows you to process more than just two employees. It allows you to file your forms, and et cetera, et cetera. So all of those things are going to be considered one of the things. So again, if you are planning to use Intuit's payroll services, those are what it's going to entail. If you choose to outsource, which you can do, right? You just have to make sure that you manually enter in all your information to make sure that your QuickBooks is updated to whatever it is, right? If you're making a payment to your employees or a payment to a liability, make sure you update QuickBooks so it is in hand, line in line with your whatever sourcing information or payroll services that you've done, right? You want to make sure that your books match anything else that you use. Okay, so that's it. That is payroll processing for you. Any questions at all?
No, everything pretty good. Much goes the way
Okay.
you said it.
All right. So I'm actually going to briefly wrap up this up real quick. We're going to take a look at how to do a manual payroll, and then we can go forth from there. All right. So again, let's take a look at the reports that you can create. So the more popular reports would obviously being like, especially for HR, is, well, how often did you make your payments for? Okay, so we're going to go to our reports at the top of our menu, and we're going to go all the way down till we see employees and payroll. Okay. So here you can have a summary of your payroll, all right? As in, who did you make payments to? Oh, I don't know why I opened up Excel. No. Okay, so let's go back and do that again. So, reports, employees and payroll. Okay, so summary detail. Okay, I clicked the one in Excel. So here you go, you have payroll summaries. So here it gives you the detail on who you made a payment to, okay, what their gross payments are. So essentially it's a pay stub all in one report. Okay, so it gives the gross wages that you've paid. So in total, on how many liabilities that you've collected, what are the total deductions. Basically, it's just a list of everything that you've made a payment to, and it's according by however month you want to do it, but it's also by employee. So in this case, it gives me an idea that I paid so far, if I'm doing it for this quarter or for this pay period, if I want to make it for just this last pay period, then it would show me a report automatically. But in this case, it's just showing me the information. Maybe it's showing me, I'm going to click all. Oh, come on, all. And I'm going to refresh this because you always want to do that. Refresh. So this is what all the payments I paid to Katie Reynolds year to date. Okay? So this is all the paychecks that I've written out to Katie. I wrote her a total of $50,000. All right? That's because it's assuming we started our business in what? January of 2019? All right?
Yeah.
All the way down to December. We're only on December 15th, right? We still have to pay her last $2,500. So that's actually right. She's roughly getting $57,000, which is almost equivalent to what she's supposed to get. She's supposed to get a grand total of $60,000 per year. Mm-hmm. So here you go. She's at right now, year to date, she's collected $57,000. The total amount of deductions or 401k that she put in was close to $2,300. And then what we've credited her for, let me see, taxes. So 401k, where is our section for 401k? Where's the 401k match?
What's there?
Well, okay, but anyways, we're looking at their perspective on what they paid. So in this case, that's pretty much the details in the payroll summary for this one. Just what this is looking at an overview of the whole year. If you want it to be specific, you can scale it down to however. You can make a custom one. Maybe I want to know how much I paid her for this quarter, etc., etc. Okay, so it's pretty cool that you can take a look at that. And then other reports you can also take a look at is how often you made payments to your liabilities. So if I go to, again, employees and payroll, right, I can go ahead and look at payroll, where is it? Payroll liability balances. So if I go ahead and say do that, and let's say I do this for all, okay, instead of just custom, right? Like I do for all. It's going to show me every single month and every payment I've made, right, and how much I've collected for every single month. So in this case, it started from January, right? We started as January all the way down to December. So of course I made payments along the way, so that's why most of my balances are zero. So yeah, that pretty much takes a look at how much we owe the government. And we've been doing good because most of our balances are zero. Okay? And yeah, that's pretty much all the reports that you can pretty much do unless you are the PR. Again, if you are the PR, you want to take a look at what you can do. So you have the payroll liabilities, you have the workers' compensation summary. So again, if you offer workers' compensation, that is definitely something you want to take a look at. Employee contact list, right? We didn't take a look at this last time, but yes, you can create your employee contact list, which we only have 2 employees. So, again, you can take a look at that. You can even take your payroll item list. Okay. So that's pretty much it. All right. Okay. And let's go over chapter 11. Review questions real quick, take a break, and come back, and then we'll continue on with the manual payroll. All right, I definitely want to show you that so you can kind of get the idea of how to do payroll, because in the accounting class, we do get to take a look at how to do manual payroll. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the review questions. Here we are. See, chapter 11 was pretty short. Review questions. Select the most best answer. Okay. Number 1. Okay. To properly affect the payroll items, which functions from the employee section of the homepage, okay, should you use to pay the payroll taxes?
Liabilities. Pay liabilities.
Yes, D, pay liabilities. That one's pretty straightforward. All right, next question says here, voucher style checks, okay, when used when used to processing payroll may contain what?
Voucher style. Okay. All the above.
Correct. Right? Because the voucher style allows us to print their whole entire pay stub information, right? On how much they earned, how much taxes they had to pay. So again, you are going to get earnings and tax withholdings. Yes, that's for sure. Adjustments to net pay. Yes, that's the whole purpose, right? Taking our deductions out. You get your net pay. You get the amount of what the check is worth. And then, of course, the federal filing status, of course, it's going to reveal your information, such as the pay period, the how often you get paid, and what your filing marital status is, right? It's going to show you your withholdings as well, because it shows your federal tax income withholdings. So it has to reveal all that information. So yes, all of the above is correct.
It's not like one of the smaller ones where it just gives you a snapshot of, and you know what I'm talking about, the wallet one.
You can do wallet if you want to, because wallet, like, that's the one that's the more that one is one of the options that you can do for processing that. Yes, you can do it that way if you prefer to use the wallet style. Again, yes, it's shorter information, but then it also keeps your information a little private, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, number 3. Okay, the payroll liability balance report identifies what?
We just did that one.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about it. So, it's B.
B, good. It's going to be the liability amounts by payroll item. So yes, we got to take a look at that very briefly. Here it is, the payroll liabilities item, your match 401k, your Medicare, your California, all those liabilities that you owe, it gives you it by item. Okay. All right. Then question number 4 says, okay, which statement is true?
You can print pay stubs at any time.
Yeah, A. Pretty straightforward, right? You can do it on command, on demand, whatever it is. Whenever you can do it a year later, a year before, you can print them at any time. All right. Lastly, number 5, to begin processing your payroll. ... What should you do?
Pay employees. Yes, choose pays employees. That's D.
Yes. To, yeah.
That's the start. That's the start of the flow chart.
Yes. So again, select write checks from the home page. No, you shouldn't use it, like I said, because a regular paycheck or a regular check that you send to a vendor, there's a lot more details that you have to input in there. And if you use the write checks window to pay your employees, you're not going to calculate all the withholdings, all the calculations that you need to make up that paycheck. So in this case, the paycheck is a little more detailed than a write a check. So that's obviously not the one that you should go for. And then let's see, B says select the employees menu and then select the pay schedule liabilities. We're not paying liabilities, we're paying employees. Select the payroll menu and then select process payroll. There's no such option. Okay. And then lastly, D says pay employees from the employees section of the homepage. Yes. To start processing your payroll, that is correct. You do pay your employees. Okay. So right now it is exactly almost 3 o'clock, so it's 2:50. I'm gonna round to 2:55. So please be
Okay.
back 15 minutes from now, so no later than 3:10, and we can go ahead and I'll show you how to do manual payroll.
Okay.
All right then. See you
See
in
you
a
then.
bit.